Okay, there's a something right at the beginning of this song. It says every night calcium light shines on Georgianna Sweet. So apparently Georgianna was a performer of some sort who was performing with lights on the stage or something like that. And I thought maybe some people might not know what a calcium light was. And this is something I'm actually kind of familiar with because a friend of mine used one when I was younger, when I was a teenager. Um, what they're talking, we didn't call it a calcium light, we called it a carbide light or a carbide lamp. And I think that's the more commonly used term in the South. Uh, so there's this chemical compound called calcium carbide, which you can still buy, at least in the United States, you can still buy it. And it comes in a can, which needs to be sealed pretty well when you keep it stored. You don't want external humidity getting into it. You want to keep the carbide good and dry. And the calcium carbide looks like kind of like little gray lumpy BBs. And uh, here's a picture of a small, I think this is probably a handheld type of carbide light, carbide lamp. Now the one my friend had was smaller than this even, and it attached to a strap that he could wear on his head so that the light would be ahead of him. Wherever he turned his head, it would point in that direction, you know. I had a headlight too, but it was battery powered. I wore it on a strap, but it just had a regular light bulb and a wire going down to a battery that hung in a pouch on my belt. So if you look at this picture here, you can see down here, this part on the bottom, you unscrew that part and pour the carbide pellets into it and then screw it back on. And then this part right here is a water reservoir. Right here's the cap that you can pour the water into. And then you see the little marks right here, and this little thing here, you move this back and forth to control the water flow. And water will drip down. It has a little valve here that allows water to drip down into the carbide reservoir. And whenever water hits calcium carbide, there's a chemical reaction that releases acetylene, which is a flammable gas. And you can control the amount of gas by increasing and decreasing the water supply. Now there's a tube that comes up behind this parabolic reflector from the carbide reservoir, and it comes out right through the middle of it, right there, and releases the gas right out there. And then here's a striker, just like in a Zippo lighter. It's a round piece of metal with a serrated edge, and there'll be a little piece of flint in here, just like in a Zippo, and you strike that, and it throws sparks over here to where the gas is coming out, and it lights the gas, so you have a little flame coming out. And you have a nice parabolic reflector that you want to keep nice and clean and polished so that it reflects the light well, and that way you can get kind of a sort of a beam. It's a little bit focused. It's not like a good electric light, but it's better than nothing. And there were different sizes of this. This one I think is probably meant to be handheld. I think this thing right here would probably be the handle that you hold on to, like this, and you just point it wherever. The one my friend had was even smaller than this and went on a strap on his head, like I said. And there were probably even bigger ones that they would have used to light a stage. But before batteries and before electrical and natural gas systems that many cities have now, this was a way to light things, and they were portable, and so like a traveling show could use these. They could set up their stage anywhere. They didn't have to worry about plugging in or having gas or anything. They could just set up anywhere, put their lights up, and then light all these lights. Of course, they're not as safe as electric lights because you have an open flame, but it was better than being in the dark. So that's what a calcium light is. And like I said, you want to make sure that the carbide is stored in keeps all the humidity out, because if it gets too humid inside, it could cause a chemical reaction to start. Uh, we found this out by accident one time when we had been hunting at night for raccoons, and my friend, see, when you oh yeah, let me tell you, when you want to stop using it, you shut the water off. You shut the water flow off completely with a little handle up here. The water will stop dripping, stop dripping, and the flame will go out because it runs out of gas. And then you just unscrew this. You don't keep the old carbide in there because it's not safe. You unscrew it and just dump it out. Dump it out somewhere safe. Well, my friend dumped it out. He did all the stuff. He shut the water off and everything, and then just dumped this out next to the little road we were on, and back in the pasture where we were. And a few days later, we went back there during the daylight for some reason. It was a big, like a 500-acre ranch, and we hunted and fished in there all the time. And it had been raining. It was a real light, misty rain. And as we were going down this long, straight road that went down along one fence line, way off in the distance, we could see this plumes of steam or smoke or something coming up. And it was so weird looking because it was just this column of smoke. We didn't know what it was. And as we got closer to it, suddenly my friend started laughing, and he said, "That's where I dumped out the carbide." and it started reacting because it was getting rained on very lightly. So we stopped and made sure it wasn't going to start a fire or anything. We kicked dirt over it and kind of mixed it in with the sand really good, so it wasn't concentrated anymore, and it didn't cause any problems. It didn't start a fire or anything. But that's why you want to make sure that your carbide supply stays very dry. So that's what a calcium light is. Uses a chemical compound that produces acetylene gas when water drips on it. And lots of people use these before electricity and before batteries, and it was just a thing. You know, some people would see it now and probably have a cow because it's an open flame, but it was either that or being in the dark. And you know, a candle won't work. Outside candles don't work. They only work where there's no wind. But this would, even if there was a little bit of wind, this would keep going because it had this gas supply coming out of it all the time. So I don't know what all that other stuff reflected in there is. So that's what a calcium light is.